What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Global Cap FX. Long time no talk. I know it's been a while. Just been really tied up with helping some clients with their trading accounts and just making my smooth transition over into a secondary profession. As I'm actually and proudly saying that I'm no longer working at the tech job that I was working at for the last 4.5 years. Great company, nothing ever to say badly about them, but it was certainly time for me to move on and really focus in on this business here at Global Cap, focus in on students here that have decided to take their time to learn from the content that I provide. So I have actually, before we started this call, I put an agenda together to have a total of 1, 2, 3, almost 4 calls this week to give you all a different variety of things that I'd like to talk about to help you improve your strategy and your ability to be a trader in the market. One thing to disclose, this is not financial advice. This isn't something that you should turn around and take as biblical. So, take everything with a grain of salt. Most certainly do your research. I just happen to share this stuff because I make money with these ideas, with these thoughts, with this technical strategy. And, if you want to take some of that stuff and implement it in your own strategy and you happen to make some money, great. If you happen to lose some money, that's totally up to you. It's all risk that you decided to take. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Next thing I wanted to talk about, for those of you who are on this page for the very first time, I have a free online course from A to Z that literally teaches you everything that you could possibly need to know to start off as a trader part-time. The reason why I decided to make it free is because, let's just keep it honest. You can get this information from anywhere. You can get it from this platform on YouTube or Instagram. You can literally get it from anywhere. But the question is, are you getting it in the right format? Are you receiving it in the right structure to where you can turn around and implement it into your own, your own daily trading? So making it free, I'm hoping that, people who are truly serious about wanting to learn how to make a secondary, maybe a third income through this industry of foreign exchange, that you will take this course and really just run with it. It can be done on your own time. It can be done on your own schedule. So if you have a family, kids, 9-to-5 job, whatever, you can literally do this on your own time. It's an accumulation of about, I would say, 12 to 14 hours worth of content that my partner and I have worked really hard to put together for you. So if you are not involved in that course yet, go ahead and click the link in the description, and it's totally free. After you're finished with the course, jump into our Discord where the students and I, we occasionally bounce off of each other certain trading ideas, and really just work on securing the bag throughout the week. And that's every single week. So once you learn how to trade through the course, don't feel like you're going to be set astray by yourself to figure it out going forward. Make sure you jump into the Discord where all the other students are collaborating and working and trading together. I also have some really good news. Now that I currently don't have a 9-to-5 job and I'm primarily focused on helping really just people get more educated from my own unprofessional experience, how to make money in trading. And then also I'm assisting people with getting life insurance policies to protect their families. All that stuff is all inclusive when it comes to, a better understanding of how to work the system that we're all living in. So with that being said, I'm proud to say that with all this extra time that I have, I'm actually studying for all of my series licensing in order to have a hedge fund. The plan here is over the next 2 to 3 years, a hedge fund will be in place. Before that happens, we will have a proprietary firm, quite similarly to these other firms that are providing capital to foreign exchange traders to make a profit. You know, the 70-30 split, the 80-20 split. And I would say that will take place, I would say by the end of this year, possibly the middle of next year, maximum. So most definitely stay tapped in to this channel, stay tapped in with me on my Instagram so that you can be sure that you're getting exclusive updates on when these things are releasing. Okay, so let's get into it, all right? So before we get into the charts, I want to talk about fundamentals. Now, I don't usually talk about fundamental analysis too much, but it's definitely important to get a good look at what news will be releasing in the week that you're about to trade. Because the last thing that you really need is to be in a trade, right? Let's just say it's USDCAD, USD Canadian, and you did not decide to look at this page here, where you would see on Tuesday, August 16th, inflation rate year over year news is going to be released. And let's say, you know, you're in a trade, and then all of a sudden, you know, because you had a tight stop loss of 10 pips, 10 clicks, whatever you want to call it, you were spiked out of your trade, you lost your money, and you don't know what the hell happened. Well, let me tell you, if you would have looked at the news, you probably would have been a bit more prepared. So going into this week, just to stay prepared, to stay ready, to make sure that we are on our toes, 10 toes down. On Monday, we have some unemployment rate with Great Britain that'll be coming up. That should be a relatively important piece of information going into tomorrow. Tuesday, like we mentioned, we have inflation rate with Canada. Housing obviously has definitely been a big thing in the United States, you know, with, you know, raw materials being more expensive. Yeah, you know, less houses are available, so that means less houses are being bought. There's just so many factors that play into the real estate market and in the housing market. So I think that will definitely be something to keep an eye on, you know, as we roll into Tuesday. Wednesday, we have FOMC. That's most certainly a very volatile time every single time it comes around. So definitely, if you're involved in a US trade, be wary of this. Okay, let's go ahead and tap into FOMC to see what this means so you can get a live understanding. The Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve and the Federal Open Market Committee have equal authority to set interest rates in the United States. After receiving recommendation from one or more of the regional Federal Reserve banks, the board makes a decision on discount rate modification. The FOMC makes a decision on open market activities, such as central bank money levels and federal funds market rate. So long story short, this has everything to do with the interest rate in the United States. So FOMC, again, a very volatile moment. It can go up, it can go down, it can spike up and spike down, but then eventually come back to the original price that it was at. You definitely want to keep this on your alerts on Wednesday. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. All right, let's keep scrolling. Let's keep scrolling. You have some inflation rate Thursday for Japan. Anything that has to do with inflation, interest rate, housing, unemployment, non-farm payroll, any of these things you definitely want to keep close eye on. All right, so that's what we have for the news, the fundamentals. Now let's go ahead and roll over Let's go ahead and roll over into the recap of what happened last week. I'll go over two situations. One of them is going to be a win. The other one will be a loss. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll over into GBPAUD and talk about the good stuff first, because I don't like talking about my L's, but I like to keep things transparent at the end of the day so that you guys know who I am as a person, not just a trader. I like to keep things straight and narrow at the end of the day. And then, by the way, make sure you're following me on Instagram. That is literally the only place, aside from the Discord, that you might be able to reach out to me. I would never reach out to you. So if anyone reaches out to you with a fake account, it's not me, okay? It's not me. I would never reach out to you, okay? So just heed that as things start to expand with global cap. Great Britain, Australia was a beautiful trade last week. Let's get a little granular. Let's move into the 4-hour time frame. So I took into consideration this this impulse here, this small impulse that took place right here, that push down. Okay. Prior to that, if I were to press the replay button, prior to that, there was nothing breaking through this trend line that I created here. Okay, we spiked below it for a few hours, but after that, made a nice little push to the upside, and after that, we started back down, and then we pushed down below the trend line. Okay, so I took into consideration that. Let's keep playing it out. This area right here in red, I would declare the order block where financial institutions decided to break out of this trend line resistance, this trend line floor, break out of it. That was the initial starting point of that break. So I kept that into consideration. I actually missed the first move when this took place, but after it created this candle right here and closed, I waited for that candle to close. I did not get in before that. After that candle closes when I got in. Okay. I made a nice profit on here. I decided to take profit here at the start of this candle right here. I decided to take profit there, and it just so happened that price continued to roll over. I actually made a good exit right here because price started to correct itself before descending down. One thing that we could have done, hindsight, was understand that there was a solid demand zone right here prior to pushing up. We could have used that as a supply area or an area where price could retest and then re-enter. So I happened to miss that move, and then price continued to move down past my exit. Now let's go ahead and move over into the loss category. We love talking about losses over here whenever they rarely happen, but we talk about them so that we can all learn. Great Britain, Japan. Now, the only reason why I was taking losses in this pair was because, well, first off, Great Britain, Japan is very volatile. You look at one candle and it's like 100 pips worth of movement. So in comparison to something like USDCAD, the level of volatility and the amount of pips that can transpire within an hour is 2 to 3 times more than USDCAD. So when I was making my trades, it was up here in this region, and Honestly, I just kept getting out because something was telling me that there was a possibility that it would go back up. Because as I started looking into the daily time frame and saw that this little resistance was somewhat forming, and then in combination of this being a previous resistance, the way that my head was thinking was that there was a possibility that we could push back to the upside. Also, with GBPAUD going down, I have seen some consistency in GBPJPY going in the opposite direction as GA. So, the combination of all these things that I just discussed, I was getting in and out of my trade rather than just letting it ride at my 1% risk, 2% risk, and I ended up losing some money a couple of times on here. But at the end of the day, it's very, very important at the end of your week to do a recap of your journaling. I have a journal. Pull it up here for you so you can see it. Trade journal. And I have a journal here where I can double tap the box. I can put the date. I can put my pairs, which trend the market is going, in my opinion. Am I getting in a buy or a sell? Did I see a break and retest? Was price liquidating a previous high or low, or was it just mitigating an area before continuation down? And then, as you all know who are using TradingView, you can, copy and paste a screenshot of your technical analysis. So I've decided to post it in here of my entry. Next column is your result, win, loss, or break even. And then at the very end, you'll put your exit image by copying and pasting the end result. Here at the very end, I'll put my notes. Prior to even doing any of this over here to the left, I will put my notes. You want to make sure that you're journaling your observation of the market before you get into a trade. Because at the end of the day, guys, like, the market's not going anywhere. Chances are you're getting into a trade at least 50% of the time with FOMO, the fear of missing out. So if you understand that the market is not really going anywhere that quick, especially if you're looking at the market at a certain time of day, right? The market is just it's bullshitting. It's not really going anywhere. So take your time, journal out your technical analysis, make sure that you see all the confirmations that you need to see before getting into a trade. And then after you do that, make sure your risk to reward management is at least a 2-to-1, 3-to-1. So that if you are wrong and it decides to go up in the opposite direction, you at least have 2 more tries to still come out profitable for the week. Okay. All right. So now that we went over the wins and losses for last week, let's go ahead and take a look at at what I'm looking at for this week. So I'm going to roll over into gold. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at gold. A couple of weeks ago, we made some nice profits all the way down here at the bottom towards 1702. Made a nice entry and essentially rode it all the way up to 1745, 1750 area. Price decided to continuously just trickle upward. And what I'm seeing here is price came down here and really came down and mitigated these 2 areas here. Mitigated these areas here, mitigated those. This wick as well, mitigated, came back up. So looking in the past, obviously we have a strong move to the upside. Price did not get liquidated with this move over here. So the way that we see it is that, financial institutions, they're always trying to collect stop losses, because when they collect stop losses, they collect your money. And Based off that previous spike, if we're looking at this as a double top, the second leg of the M here did not breach the first leg. So there was no liquidation of the market here. So the way that I see it is that eventually gold will need to come back up to the top and liquidate those highs up there and possibly create new highs. Going down into the 4-hour time frame, I am taking into consideration that we have, a two sets of candles here, these two and these two, where candle rejections took place, and then the second one was also an impulsive move to the downside before crashing all the way down to 1680. Okay, so I'm taking that into consideration. So I'm looking for a solid correction. I decided to put an RMA in here to get a better understanding of the level of strength of movement of price. And then, also what I'm realizing as well is that price will, in this case, we're going in an uptrend. In this case, we're going in an uptrend. Price enjoys coming below your RSI like this before it continues up. And as you can see, these retests right here, so like this one here, boom, boom, it retested this zone here, which was an order block before the impulsive move up. A second confirmation, it was also below the RSI and then continued back up. So I'm looking at this again here. I'm looking at these two sets of candles before it went up, these two sets before it went up, and these two sets. So I'm going to pay attention to this area right here. And then I'm also going to pay attention to this zone right here, as some people would call this a double bottom, W, whatever, whatever you want to call it, right? This is an area where price, the institutions dumped the market, took some stops out possibly, retested a previous area of support. This is your area of support right here. And then went back up. So I'm going to pay attention to this area right here. I'm looking at price. I want price to come back to this area of 1775. That would be the most preferable, because the way that the market is getting really skinny right here, I'm not really a fan of getting in at the bottom of this. I'm not a fan of that. I would prefer it to come down below that, create some more strength in the market before actually pushing back up higher. Because this right here, this sideways movement, there's no strength in this. It's losing strength if we really think about it, okay? So one of two things is going to happen. It'll either come back down and retest below this blue box here, this range. It'll retest back below this range here and shoot back up, or it will acknowledge this previous impulsive move down and come all the way back down to 1750. And the way that we determine which direction we would like to get in, obviously we're looking in the daily and the 4-hour time frame right now, so we would get more granular. We would look for our supply and demand zones. Demand zone. Demand zone. Demand zone. We would look for those. And then once we're in those areas, what we want to do is look for signs of strength, okay? And what I mean by signs of strength is that, price in this scenario, let's take this one into consideration here, okay? You had, resistance, all this resistance, then you had sideways movement inside this area, pushed up, came back in, pushed up higher, came back in, strong impulse down, no second thoughts about it, came back down, pressed in. But where did it come back down to? Came back down to our demand zone. This move right here, this first initial move right here is your sign of strength. And then after that, what you're looking for is a retest of the previous area. Get in for your buy, and then you collect your money. You put your stop loss below the wicks, the liquidation in that given area. Make sure your risk to reward is at least a 2 to 1, 3 to 1. Okay. And then you let it run. All right, so I'm taking a look at gold this week. Quick glance at USDCAD here. USDCAD is moving real nice. I'm really enjoying the way that USDCAD is moving over the last couple of weeks. All right, so let's go ahead and in this given scenario with USDCAD, I'm not going to go down into the smaller time frames. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to show you a different way of looking at the market here. So for those of you who decide to watch this video here, you're going to get some gems right now. I'm telling you that if you're able to look at a chart in the daily time frame and locate where liquidity lies, then that means you can locate where setups are taking place before impulsive moves take place. If you can locate that, if you can locate liquidation of support and resistance, so in this case, I'll get rid of all this here, okay? I'll even get rid of the RSI. All right, so we had a spike down, okay? Spike down to 128, 129, even roughly. Spike down. Then price started going sideways. Let's go ahead and draw a line right across there. All right, so I'm going to use the replay tool on this so you can get, a live feed of this. We're in the daily time frame, okay? Prior to this candle right here, and prior to this impulsive move down here, you had this wick here. You had this wick here as the bottom of your previous support. Used to be a support when price was up here. So we're taking that into consideration, and then we're going to go ahead and start scaling, okay? So look at that, retest, boom. Couldn't break through. We still have a solid retesting area here at 129,350. Okay, price tried it again, came back down, came back heavy, came back real heavy. Oops, 1 second. Price came back 90 pips, right? Now all of a sudden we're back below this first candle here that formulated with a wick on the top of the body. So you can see where liquidity lies. The market is very, very fractal. It has intention when it makes its moves. when it retests, when it impulse, when it's going sideways, when it's going diagonal, everything has an intention. And, when it comes to, obviously the financial institutions making their pumps before going in the right direction, you certainly want to, pay attention to that. But the best way that you can avoid those financial moves having a negative impact on your account is being able to locate where this liquidity lies in the market. If you can locate where these gaps are, and the gaps are where the wicks are, you hear all the time that wicks tell stories. If you're able to make entries into these areas here, and most importantly, understand the direction of the market, you can really put yourself in profit quickly. You don't have to be floating in drawdown all day waiting for yourself to get back in profit. At this point, we're already in a break-even trade. Like if we were to get in either one, right? If we got in up here, if we got in right here, we're already at a break-even trade. Okay. And then there we go. Price is now coming up to retest the initial impulse. Right here. So this candle right here was the last up move before the down move. So that means the bottom section of this move here is where another retest lies. Let's keep it rolling. And then there we go. Okay. So what I'm looking for here is for price to come back into this general area. Let's go ahead and say this right here before pushing back down to the downside. All right. So that's what I have for this week. Thank you guys for staying on here up to this point. For those of you who are still on here, if you go ahead and send me, a DM right now, I will give you a free 10-minute crash course of what I'm looking at a little bit deeper into detail for this week. I went over gold and I went over USDCAD, but I'm also looking at a couple others on this watch list that I think you should pay attention to. So if you DM me at Global Cap FX on Instagram, I will give you 10 minutes of my time and we can go ahead and do a crash course. But other than that, I appreciate your time. Again, my course with my partner Cameron is down in the description. And once you're done with the course, man, we'll see you in the Discord chat where you will constantly you'll stay plugged in until, series licensings are secured, prop firms are set up, and all that great stuff, giving you more of an opportunity to increase your bag and expand your investment portfolio as we start to become more able to give you this financial advice. But until then, this is all entertainment. So don't try and turn around and sue me. All right, y'all. I love you. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.